Today's video is going to go over the details of the axial skeleton. So the human skeleton is divided into two big parts. We have the axial skeleton, which we're going to go over today, and then the appendicular skeleton, which is going to include the appendages and what attaches the appendages to the axial skeleton. So focusing on the axial skeleton specifically, it's going to be defined as bones of the head and trunk. So of course we're talking about the skull, and in addition we would be talking about the trunk. Okay, so your core, your main longitudinal axis. So this is going to make up your longitudinal axis, and it's going to make up about 80 bones in total. So this again would include these bones of the trunk and the bones of the skull. Is going to be about 80 in total. So let's start with the skull. So the bones of the skull, and of course what is associated with the skull, is going to make up the top part of the axial skeleton. So that's all the bones of the skull, and then the auditory ossicles. So the auditory ossicles are found inside the ear, and there's going to be three on each side. And then we've got the hyoid bone. And the hyoid bone we can find right here. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more in just a few minutes. So hyoid bone located here on the front of the cervical vertebrae section. And then it's going to, of course, include the thoracic cage, or our rib cage, sternum, breastbone, the vertebral column, all the way down to the sacrum, and the coccyx, or tailbone. So what are its functions? Why do you need the axial skeleton? It's going to help to support and protect the organs in the body cavities. So for example, the thoracic cavity is going to contain the heart and lungs. And you can see that the rib cage and the breastbone would do a really good job at protecting the heart and the lungs. And then we've got where the sacrum and coccyx is, it's going to help to protect the reproductive and urinary organs. In addition, it's going to help to stabilize the appendicular skeleton, which again is the appendages and the girdles or attachments that hold those appendages to the axial skeleton. So let's focus back in on the skull just a little bit more in detail. The skull has 22 bones, and the cranial area, this is going to protect the brain, and then the facial bones are going to protect openings to the digestive and respiratory systems. We also talked about how there were 6 auditory ossicles, or ear bones. There's going to be 3 on either side. And then we talked about the hyoid bone, which we pointed out here on the front of the vertebral column. The hyoid bone is important as a structural anchor for muscles in the neck. And finally, the vertebral column. The vertebral column is going to be comprised of 24 vertebrae bones. Then we have the sacrum and coccyx. So that's going to be a total of 26 bones. And the vertebral column is going to support the head. In addition, it's clearly going to support the spinal cord. And just a quick tip for you as you are memorizing the details of the thoracic, cervical, and lumbar vertebrae. There are videos on that too. One way to keep them straight is we know that there are 7 cervical vertebrae. We've got 12 thoracic vertebrae and 5 lumbar vertebrae. We have breakfast at 7, we have lunch at 12, and we have dinner at 5. That always helps me. Thanks for watching.